The Team Ico HD Collection, created by Sony's Team Ico, featuring a HD revamp of the PS2 classics Ico and Shadow of the Colossus, released for the PlayStation 3, offering players a chance to play these two great games that they may have missed in the past generation. Without spoiling too much, the story of Ico follows a young boy and a princess trying to escape a castle, while Shadow of the Colossus is about a young wanderer tasked with slaying 16 colossi to revive a young girl. The stories of both games is very much like the game's artistic style, minimalistic. Although Ico does have some cutscenes with dialogue and character development here and there is little to none else given here. In most cases, the lack of a solid, streamlined and coherent story is a result of bad design, and most often than not, a great story is usually the backbone of a great game. However, for Ico and Shadow of the Colossus, the lack of cutscenes and dialogue does not signify the lack of a deep and involving plot. Both games offer vastly different yet equally gripping narratives. With Ico, the driving force of the narration was both the desire to escape the castle, along with our curiosity about Yorda, and to an extent, Ico himself. With Shadow of the Colossus, the plot takes a different route to that of Ico, and so employs an alternative method to hook the gamer. Unlike the protagonist, I would imagine most gamers aren't driven by the same motivation of reviving the young woman, of whom we know so little. For me, personally, it was wanting to know what the next Colossus would be like, as well as my curiosity about the deity who has given the wanderer this task, and whether or not he will keep his end of the bargain, or is there an ulterior motive. The controls for both games are very dated, however it is forgivable. Ico is the simpler of the two in terms of gameplay, but that is because not much is required. Combat is entirely with one button and is incredibly easy once you get the hang of it, and the puzzles can get quite tricky at times, but mostly there isn't anything mind-bogglingly hard. Shadow of the Colossus was a much deeper game in terms of gameplay, but that is to be expected as it was released after Ico. The gameplay of Shadow of the Colossus doesn't rely on offering players brain ticklers as much as Ico, but rather by offering players epic battles on a massive scale with some incredibly intense moments when trying to deliver the final strike to slay a Colossus, which I imagine would have many a gamer on the edge of a seat biting their lip as they try to plunge their sword into the Colossus with the stamina bar rapidly dropping. Ico and Shadow of the Colossus are both great games and have plenty to offer. Both games look absolutely amazing in HD. Graphically, Ico and Shadow of the Colossus both look great, although I did experience a few graphical hiccups on a few occasions. In terms of music, both games have some really great scores. However, I did feel that Shadow of the Colossus had some of the best music I've ever heard, period. Although Ico has some great music, you don't really hear a lot of it while you play. Most of the levels are silent, with ambient noises being the only thing you can hear at times, which amplifies the feeling of isolation in Ico, making you feel like the only living things in the castle. Shadow of the Colossus, on the other hand, has some very epic music for each Colossus battle. Overall, both games look great and sound absolutely amazing. The Team Ico HD Collection offers two great games that I had missed in the previous generation, and I'm glad I managed to play. Both games look stunning in HD. In terms of sheer quality, both of these games are absolutely staggering, putting most games released even today to shame. If you have never played either of these two games, I strongly recommend buying this collection. Shadow of the Colossus alone makes it worth more than every penny spent.